This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're about to begin our meeting. Do we have any volunteers on the prayer? Okay.
Dear Lord, we thank you this day, and we thank you for the freedom for us to join here and do the business of the county. Please be with us as we do the business of the county, and let us make the decisions you have us to make. In your name we ask. Amen.
Let's all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have a proposed agenda before you. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, if good, you should have an addendum attached to your agenda. I got a few items I'd like to add. Number 19, an update on a recent House bill from the General Assembly. Then you got a list of the building permits issued in March, and then an update on our new motor graders.
Okay. David, do you have any?
No, sir.
Tim?
No, sir.
Eugene?
No, I'm good.
Tony?
No, so I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda with additions.
Second.
Okay, it has been motioned and second. All in favor by the show of hands? That motion carries. Okay, our old minutes were emailed and mailed to all of us. What's the pleasure of the board?
We adopt as recorded.
Second.
It has been motioned and second. Do we have any discussion or correction on the old minutes? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, and that motion carries. Mr. Steve is on you now.
All right, I'll invite our CPA, Mr. Gene Allen, on up. He has completed the audit of the county's financials for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023. And I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Herbert Gene Allen. It's presenting our report for September 30th, 2023, and the independent law report. If I could get everyone to turn to page 1.
But they don't have, I'll have it on the screen.
Okay.
Oh,
That's it.
Just want to read about 3 or 4 paragraphs so you have an understanding of what we're doing. Page 1, report on the audit financial statements, opinions. We have audited the company basic financial statements of the governmental activities, the business type activities, and the aggregate discretely presented component units, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of Dudley County, Georgia, as of for the year ending September 30, 2023, and the related statements to the financial statement, which collectively comprise the Dudley County basic financial statements as listed in the table of contents. We did not audit the financial statements of the Dudley County Department of Public Health, a component unit of Dudley County. The Health Department had assets of $576 as of June 30, 2023, and revenue of $391,442. Those financial statements was audited by other auditors whose financial reports therefore have been furnished to us, in our opinion, insofar as it relates to the amounts included for Dudley County, Georgia, is based solely on the report of the other auditors. We did not audit the opinion financial statement of the Dudley County Development Authority, a component unit of Dudley County. The Development Authority had assets of $3,585,713 as of September 30, 2023, and a revenue of $232,430. Those financial statements were audited by other auditors whose report thereof have been furnished to us, in our opinion, insofar as it relates to the amounts included in the Dudley County, Georgia, based solely on the report of their auditors. Last paragraph. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, and each major fund of the Dudley County, Georgia, as of September 30, 2023, and respective changes in financial position, and where applicable, cash flows thereof, and the respective budget comparison for the general fund for the year ending in accordance with accounting record, but general set in the United States. Does anybody have any questions? that take you to page 12.
Hey, hold on just a second, give me a chance to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Is this page 12? Yep, that's page 12. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, all right, page 12 is statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances, budget, and actual general fund type for the year ending September 30, 2023. This is the revenue and expenses of the general fund, which basically covers all of what the council does, so forth, commissioners. All right, so if I can get everyone to go to across and come to actual revenues. First one's gonna be taxes. The taxes of 14,604,194. Now I can go down to these individually if you like, or you can just look at them and ask questions as you see all those figures. Whichever y'all would like.
Just hit the high spots and if they got questions, they'll holler at you.
That sounds good. All right, so I got revenue of 14,604,194, expenditures of 14,046,713. That's a gross profit of 557,481. Now I have other things relating to debt and so forth. Bonds 2015, 2,055,000. Principal, interest 31,575. The loan ABM principal is 281,832. Interest is 184,703. That's a figure of 752,110. I subtract that from the excess of revenues, and I have negative 195,629. My beginning fund balance was 2,274,749. Ending fund balance is 279,169. Any questions about this report? All your fund balances are positive. That's by millions of dollars. This is 2 million super good.
This report is just general fund.
General fund only. We have all the other funds set up on the other pages. So now I'd like to take you to page 9.
Hold on a second. This is gonna be a little bit more difficult to
This is
see
gonna be
because it's going, it's a,
Okay, all right. Page 9,
let me close
general
up
fund.
this.
I'm gonna read off, I'm just gonna read the totals, but I'm coming off my report here, 2-page report. That's not, okay, okay. The first column is just what I gave you, the general fund expenses for the general fund. Same figures, equity at the end of it, 2,079,169. Other funds that are in the city, the county, all have different balances and also have different things. They're all basically restricted for certain purposes. It's like you can't go in the general fund, you can't go in this fund and grab some money for the general fund. They're all separate and are restricted. All right, the sheriff's state drug fund and equipment had total revenues of 926,000, expenditures of 612, a net of 313,728. Previous was 152,599. They had an end balance of 466,327. Now that is the sheriff's department. Transportation
All
act.
right, back up. So the sheriff drug fund last year had a fund balance of 152,599. And that, so now as of September 30th, 23 is 466.
Yes,
Okay.
y'all had one big thing going.
Just want to make sure I,
Yes, that is correct.
But it's reading back up. That much went through it.
but 612, that was the total expenditures.
Right.
926, 694 was total revenues
That went into the fund last year.
during the year.
Yeah.
And that figure came out of it during the year. And
And
that was the beginning balance. That was the ending balance. Just like the general fund that we went through earlier. Okay, I'm sorry. So the next column is it's called Transportation Investment Act. We call it T-SPLOS.
okay. You received 397,000. You spent 779, but you had that money from prior years, so you had negative 382. 382. The prior year I had 382. At the end of this year, September 30th, that fund balance is 0. All the money was taken, all the money was spent for various projects.
Okay. That was the old T-Splosh that was that was the first T-Splosh that went in effect for 10 years, 2013 through 2022. The next column is the new T-Splosh that got approved. So that's why the old T-Splosh had an ending balance of 0. We finally spent all that money.
Had to wash it.
The next one, Transportation Act 2032. Received 792,000, interest 110, gross receipts was 792,475. You spent 203,994. I had, I'm gonna call it profit, 588 at 481 at the end of the year. Did not have anything the prior year, so the net equity at the end of the year is 588, 481.
Okay, let me get back up to the top here, Gene.
Special local option sales tax fund 2013. You had no money coming in because it's expired. You did spend 16,359 on one project. You had 16,353 in the bank at the end of the year, so we spent that. So this fund has a 0 balance.
We still had some, I think that $16,000, I think we had some library SPLOST fund money left from the old SPLOST, but when we did the new flooring project, we was able to spend all that money. So that's why we have finally cleaned out all of our old SPLOST account. Now we're just in the only thing we have now in SPLOST, and it should probably this next column that he refers to as 2019, because that SPLOST was for the 6-year period of 2019 through 2024. We'll quit getting that money the end of this year. Unfortunately, the voters have approved another, so we'll have another SPLOST next year. Okay.
Okay, that's the SPLOST 2019. You took in $1,579,000. You spent $1,778,000. Negative 199,356. We had $1,000,04717 at the beginning of the year. So we still had about 895,000 in that SPLOST at the end of September 30, 23. Any questions so far? You got LMIG. LMIG, we took revenue of 673,960. We spent 466,960. Net $207,000. We had prior year, we had 991. So at the end of 93, we had 1,198,117. Okay, next one is American Rescue Plan. That's part of the COVID and all that type of income. We took in 134,239. We spent 782. That's negative 648. But we had $1,166,900 at the beginning of the year. So that left us a balance of 102,997. Have y'all spent that money yet?
No.
No? Okay.
That's not much is left. That's not how much is there today.
We may have spent some of it. We haven't spent all of it. We still got a good bit of it still in there.
September.
That's
And
what
But
I,
allocated,
We have to, because since then we paid for the fuel, or we paid 90% of the fuel center. We kept 10% till they finish it. And just a reminder on the
So that's gotta come out of that million.
American Rescue Plan, we have to have all that money obligated by the end of this year. We have to have it spent by the end of 2026. But we just have to have it obligated,
you got to have a budget out.
You have to have
a budget on it.
plan for what you're gonna spend it for, basically.
we've only got what, 200 or something left to allocate?
Less than $250,000, right?
Something like that. I don't know the figure off the top of my head.
240.
Okay, the other ones are sort of small funds, health promotion, wellness. We got 1,500, we spent 1,500, we had prior money. So we had 7,901 left. Trauma, we received 3,064. We spent 3,064 from the prior year. We had 959. We still got 959.
The trauma, that's a a small grant that Don Wilbur gets to fund some ambulance service equipment. Nothing major.
Do the county transit, we took in 273, we spent 263. We've got 9,855 left over to go into the next year. Georgia Forestry, this is a grant, $4,732. We spent $4,732. That's zero at the end of the year. Federal emergency management, we had 21,590. We spent it. There's no money left in that fund. Is that true? Zero?
Right.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's the annual money we get because we have a full-time EMA director. So that's to help fund that position.
How much is that?
21,000.
Okay. If I come across the top to the far right, we had revenue, including the general fund, 19,412,737. We spent 18,982,414. Gave me a net of 430,323. But we had bond balance, interest on the bond balance. You ever can remember that, the initials on that?
ABM.
Yeah, that's it, man. ABM. We spent 281 principal, 184 interest. This grand total is 753,110. So at the end of the year, we've got a negative balance of 322 of all the funds. Prior year's balance was 6,589,957. So at the end of this year, starting October 1st, 6,267,169. Now that's covered all the revenue expenses of all the funds that Dooley County is associated with. Any questions on any of that? No question, okay. Okay, let's go to page 6 and 7. Now, each one of these funds that we just talked about has a balance sheet.
Let me get that.
Okay.
Here's, okay, I'm on page 6.
Okay. All right, the first one, the general fund balance sheet. Cash on hand was 2,113,000. We had receivable come in of 415. We had Dooley County 225. My liability was 674,883. Unassigned equity is 207,969. If I take my 207,969 and come up and add the liability 674,883, I get the same total that total assets has, 2,740,052, and that lets you know everything is in balance. Sheriff's Drug Fund, restricted cash 466, restricted fund balance 466. Total at the end of year fund balance, liability 466, 327. It always bounces back to the top. Transportation, that is gone. Got the new one at 589 cash in the bank. We had a liability something for $1,500. Our restricted balance is 588,481. Equity at the end of the year is 588,481. If you add the liability and the equity, you get the assets at the top. All right, special local options, sales tax fund 19. We have 812,000 restricted cash in the bank, a receivable that we hadn't received at the end of the year at 181. That's the grand total of 993,978. Payables were 98,616. I have a restricted equity of 895,360. Take both of those, take the equity and the liability, I get 993,978. LMIG, we have 1,198,000 cash in the bank. We didn't spend any money, did not owe anything at the end of the year. Our restricted balance is 1,198,117. It also bounces back to the top. American Rescue Plan, cash in the bank was 1,020,000. We did not spend any money, so we got a restricted fund balance of 102,0997, which equals the top. Help Promotion, cash in the bank is 79,01. No debts against that amount. So 79,01 is the ended equity balance. Trauma, 959 in the bank, no debt against it. Dooley County Transit System, we got 9,858 in the bank. That's restricted. It's also at the end of the year 9,858. Georgia Forestry, we dispose of all that. Federal Emergency Management, we dispose of all that. Top of the page to the far right, total governmental funds, cash and et cetera, is 7,042,170. We had debt against that of 775,001. I got restricted balance 4,188. Unassigned, we've already used 2,079,169. So my equity at the end of the year is 6,267,169. If I add that to my liabilities, I get 7,042,170. Do I have any questions about that? Y'all are doing a good job. I mean, you are. Most time everything balanced. The truth. Really, we got a good staff.
You say it again, the microphone.
Y'all are doing a good job. Everything balances. And for some places, that is not true. Don't quote me on that. That is true. Yeah, honestly, it's a pleasure to come over here and work. You're very fortunate.
Any questions for Gene?
If not, I need to have y'all vote on accepting this report so we can send it to the state.
Can you email that?
I'll offer the motion that we accept the financial report.
It has been motion and second. Do we have any discussion on it before we vote on it? Yeah, I think we got some good, I said in the last meeting, we got some people that love numbers that sit around this table. And it shows. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, I'm just being
That's
honest
true.
about it. Everybody got their own expertise.
That's certainly true.
Yeah.
Y'all are very fortunate.
All in favor, by the show of hands, that motion carries.
Thank you so much. We're gonna send it off today.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank y'all very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Yeah,
All right, we'll get on to some of the agenda items.
Steve, before we move on,
Yes, sir.
the ARP money, did we have anything in the budget for that? That he talking about that left over?
Well, let me go see what we got in the account first. I can't remember off the top of my head.
200, so.
Yeah, I thought it too.
200 something.
Load to. Did the Superior Court did they ever pay out for those record scanners? That was the first thing we. We did that. The clerk's office was supposed to.
All right, we got $632,000 in the bank right now.
Everybody has it booked.
I'll pull up, that's one thing now, I can pull up.
I don't think Rosa spent her money.
Like 40.
60.
Huh?
It was 60,000.
To scan all the old documents here.
There.
And we did the flying drone thing,
So,
Eagle Eye.
All right. Where's that in the financial? I don't think we've been,
You
It had been in the
you
back.
had been on the very back.
They've been-
Until
the
then,
last
you
couple
kind of keeping
haven't-
a running
hadn't
score.
hadn't
Yeah,
done that last,
but we
I
had,
need to update that.
yeah, you kind of keep, probably nothing.
When would
been done.
when would the last time that had been? Maybe December's? Probably
It's been
stopped.
3 months ago, so
Probably
it's been
December
full.
of the year.
Nope. I'll get y'all an update on that. I don't have it right here handy right this second.
And you said that money can, what are some of the things that money can be spent on? I know, sorry. I don't forgot.
They relaxed the restrictions on it.
Mhm.
The American Rescue Plan money can be spent on anything that we can legally spend general fund money on. I think with the exception of, you can't use it to make a contribution to your retirement program. I think is the only,
That's
it's the only limitation.
right.
Anything you can legally spend money on, you can spend it on it. Whatever the board votes. Agenda. Okay, item number 3, just a reminder, we still have a vacancy on the Middle Flint Health and Wellness Board. Leave that on there till somebody can come up with a nomination. Item number 4, there's a vacancy on the DFAX board that needs to be filled. Item number 5, Rodney and I are discussing some new requirements for new roads. So y'all give us.
Is this something pressing? Is this holding up anything?
No, it's not correct. That's why I'm not really. But it's something I think we need to do before we get with a request. Number 6, there's a vacancy on the Board of Elections. Number 7, just a reminder, the annual legislative luncheon sponsored by the River Valley Regional Commission is scheduled for Wednesday, May the 22nd at South Georgia Tech College in Americas. Let Linda know if she would like to RSVP and attend. Number 8, Aquarius Bullard's zoning appeal is scheduled to be heard by the county commissioners at our next meeting on April 18th. Next Monday, April the 8th, the planning commission's meeting and considering 3 requests, and we went over those at the last meeting. So I'm still making a few draft changes to our request for proposal for garbage collection. I hope to have sort of a final draft for y'all to look at next meeting, and we'll start that process of putting that service out to bid. Number 11, Georgia Department of Transportation and their safety action plan. We'll skip that. Requested our engineer to be here to help talk about some of these road projects. So we'll skip over number 11. I told him, ask him to be here by 9:45. So he's not running late. So we'll skip that.
This is the striping money.
Now, yes. That's the one that they gave us a list of roads we could use that money on. With the wrecks. And we only had one that had a fatality, so that's the reason it was at the top of their list. So okay. All right. And number 12 is for the this year we got some extra LMIG money from DOT, and they called it their local road assistance program, and we're eligible for up to $891,000 through this program. It does not require a 10% local match, but we have to submit our application by June the 15th. So that's why I'm wanting Lance to come here, engineer to come here. So let's start talking to figure out what we want to submit to DOT for that money. Number 13, we've gotten the annual budget request from the Cordell Judicial Circuit. And they submit 3 budget requests, one for the Superior Court, one for Juvenile Court, and one for what they call the Data Exchange Project. And that's just a project that started many years back, where it allows the courts to electronically share data. And this is what the current budget amount was for each one of those. This is their request for next year. they're on the state fiscal year. The state fiscal year is July through June. So this is what they're requesting. Superior Court budget currently is, budget is 50, their request from Dooley County is 56,124. For next year, they're requesting 68,669, an increase of 12,545. Juvenile court, we're currently funding them at 25,389. They are requesting 26,586. That's an increase of $1,197. The data exchange project, we're currently funding that at 6,617, and the request is 6,617, the same. And in your agenda package that we got sent out, there's a letter from Judge Chastain explaining their request and the need for the increase. Do y'all want to go through any of that, or what do y'all want to do?
I've read that myself.
Well, you need a motion. That's what you wait on.
We're back on.
Which way?
Letters.
The letter from
Yeah, what-
Bob or a letter from Judge Chastain?
Judge Chastain, because that's what he's justifying. He's saying we got transcripts.
I read that, but all that paper stuff that they were using.
Let me comment on that. In certain, when you're paying for transcripts in criminal cases, the way they do that is they contract with the court reporters, and there's a set rate per page that they get to charge for that. Places like Houston County and other places, they pay a court reporter a flat fee for that. Not a flat fee, they pay them a salary for the whole circuit. And so at some point, if that keeps going up, because the pages that they're set statutory like $3, they were last time I looked, $3 or $3.50 a page. Okay, and not any of our court reporters, I don't think, but some court reporters will make the margins whatever they can. They'll maximize that. So there's a gaming system that goes on there. And other places, and I'm not saying that's going on here, I don't think that is, but the truth of the matter is that if you get to a point where this is cost prohibitive, you can get with the counties, and if that's the one that you are paying for, you can get with counties and the state and figure out how to do that, where you cut that profit margin out of it for the individual court reporter. They become employees of the county. Now, the flip of that is they get county benefits from one of the counties, and y'all have to share that. But at some point, if this keeps going up, and we're not there yet, you need to keep that in mind, that we have independent contractors as court reporters that could be circuit employees, or rather employees of probably Chris County that we all pay, and that would cut those costs down at some, and with 2 prisons in here, with transcripts and all that, you get a lot more of stuff, but you also get federal money or state money coming in. So an analysis of that from Bob, not at NADCO, that's what he does with the Administrative Office of Court, is to ask him to say, at what point do we need to look at this? And we may not be there yet, but Houston counties, and I think Daugherty County, and I know Atlanta's, because they have so much. But as to whether or not this has anything to do with the backlog or not, this has to do with appeals, is what I'm reading.
You said if Houston's doing it, there's how many of our counties? About 4 in the district.
In our circuit, there's 4. It's Dooley, Wilcox, Crisp, and
He's here. Been here.
You need to know how much these transcripts are costing, how much the court time is costing, because what happens there is, they pay them around $100,000 a year plus benefits, so they pay them like 80, maybe, plus the benefits, it rounds to about 100, 110, whatever. So that's 310,000 or 330,000 or whatever. Probably nowhere near that yet.
No.
But if the state's paying for part of that, and that offsets part of that, there may be a way to look at that if it's gonna keep going up, is my point.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Chairman? Did it accept that? I so move, Mr. Chairman, that we accept the Cordell Judicial Circuit request.
Second motion.
There has been a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, that motion carries.
Okay, let's get to the next item. Back up a second. I just wondered, in the Superior Court reporter fees and salaries for the whole circuit, it's $203,000.
And what I was assuming, and I just thought of that, is that I'm assuming that all three of our judges are doing criminal all the time. And there's always one that's just doing civil, or the way they split it up. So, that would take that 110 out. So it's about the same.
All right, let's get to the next item. Abandoned Mobile Home Act. This is just for information right now. It may come into play or it may not. But back in the 2019 General Assembly session, they had passed some legislation called, and they named it the Abandoned Mobile Home Act, which in layman's terms, not lawyer terms, if you owned a piece of property and you let somebody move a mobile home onto your property, and whether you rented them space or you just let them,
Your cousin.
or whoever, put a mobile home on your, and then they left the mobile home, I think there got to be some legal questions of how you as the property owner could dispose of that mobile home, because you don't technically own that mobile home.
Right.
Well, the Abandoned Mobile Home Act lays out the process. And the local government, meaning the board in Dooley County, the Board of Commissioners, had to appoint a local government agent. And that person is there, that when one of these cases comes up, that local government agent would go out and make a determination whether that mobile home is derelict or intact. Basically, is it habitable or not habitable? And then the law outlines, if it's habitable, how you can proceed with trying to dispose of it, or if it's uninhabitable, how you can proceed with it. And then it becomes an issue to the magistrate court. Magistrate court takes over from that. This happened to get passed after Gary Houston retired as our zoning administrator, building inspector, and before we had Glenn, so we had the private company. So the county commissioners back in January of 2020 appointed me as the local government agent.
Good point.
So I'm saying all this because there's potentially a case, somebody has approached the magistrate court about a case, so that's why I'm just letting y'all know this may come up. And then I, as the agent, I will get Glenn to go out there and do an inspection. He and I will go out there and do an inspection. And the law gives you some, they call it, you have to decide whether it's intact or derelict. Derelict means an abandoned mobile home which is in need of extensive repair and is uninhabitable. So
In
that's,
other words, nobody's in it.
and
They've left it, and the landowner wants it gone, and you've got to make a determination, yes or no.
yes. And then it gets turned over to the court to yes or no. You got give different ways to dispose of it, whether it's yes or no.
Can I ask a question?
Ask the question.
Would it not be more efficient at this point to just designate Glenn for that role? and get you out of the mix.
I'm willing to stay the agent for right now, since I haven't had a case in 4 years, so.
Oh, you don't want to give up the supplement.
Yeah. It's a big supplement, a big goose egg.
I can see this coming up in the tax sales where they buy a piece of land in November and then they come back in March and attempt to sell the mobile homes that are on the property. So I could buy the land, but then I don't have to go buy the mobile home, or he could buy the mobile home.
But in reality, how many cases like this where the mobile home is actually gonna have value?
No value, no, but what,
Headache, yes.
it's how do you,
Dispose
if I
of.
buy the land and the trailer doesn't sell over here, but it's got tax liens on it, how do you?
Here's the context of where this got passed. There were two or three different issues going on at one time. The first issue was what we're talking about right now, rural area, your cousin, your friend on your land, they leave because it's trash, they don't want it, now it's your problem, you gotta deal with it. Two, you start renting it out because it's yours, and then they come back and say something, and why did the repair? That was one problem that's going on around the state. The other problem was happening where they put in the Walmart, right there as you come in across from Miller, okay? There was a mobile home place back in there, and when I was municipal judge 20 years ago, they gave us a bus ride with all the city zoning officials, including the judges, to see what was going on. And they couldn't shut that place down because people had homes, they had abandoned homes. And we went through there one day, and there were all these little children, immigrant children, Mexican children, I think, that were looking out the windows in an abandoned mobile home because they hadn't taken care of them. And it was a fire hazard. It was a horrible thing. The fire trucks couldn't even get through there because it had not been maintained. And you had the owner of the mobile home place going, wait a minute, if this ain't ours, it ain't our property. So they were going, I can't deal with it because it's not my property. They were taking it the other way. So you had those things going on. And then at the same time, you had people like from Georgia Legal Services, we were saying, well, wait a minute, the tenants have rights in some of these places. You can't just get rid of their things because they're on your property, because they can't move that home. If you close that park down, for instance, how are they going to move their home? And so, it was all three big issues, and the legislature came up with this to deal with it, because and the term mobile home is interesting because they use that from mobile home is the old term. Now it's manufactured home, and trailer is gone, mobile home came in, now manufactured home. So the title of it in itself recognizes that these things are of no particular value because they've obviously not been maintained, they're beyond their time, and they're a burden for somebody because they're titled separately than the land. And so you have a legal nightmare, and obviously the people who left them there probably weren't paying the landowner anything to begin with, or weren't paying what they were required to pay. So they don't want to deal with the issue either. So it becomes a legal issue. So that's where it comes from.
That just jogged my memory. In the last few days, we've had a call. Is there such thing legally as squatters' rights?
It's
Not
hot.
around here.
It's hot on the news.
Yeah.
You get your shotgun.
We've had a property owner call and inquire.
They need to hire their own attorney to analyze that.
That's kind of what I thought. I didn't want to get involved in it.
They've got an issue with it.
That's squatters' rights is, there's adverse possession, and there's a length of time and what you must hold out and so forth and so on. And there's breaking of that and tagging of that. There's all kinds of legal issues together, but it's at least 7 years, if not 21 years. There's like a 2-part
You
test.
told me all I need to
Okay,
tell you.
the second part of that is, we don't have here, but it's going on elsewhere, is people go in a house in Atlanta that Tony owns a house in Atlanta, but he's moved to California and he's renting it out, and then he's got a real estate agent selling it, and a family moves in, and you can't evict them.
Why? I don't want a victim. They're trespassing and that,
Prove
like
it.
he said, you
They
get,
said they've got a lease and they manufacture a lease.
I'm the owner.
I know, but they faked your signature on it.
Okay, well, let's move on.
That goes on a lot of that.
It's going on all the time at Atlanta.
I think they did some in Florida about that too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I just want to give y'all an update on the abandoned mobile home act in case y'all hear something. There may be a case coming up. Item number 15, the Dooley,
Called self-help.
we received a notice that the Dooley County Campground has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Would you like to comment about that, or seems to be a nice accomplishment?
Dooley Campground was founded in 1875 when Reverend Embry got lost on what he thought was a Pinhatchee Creek. It turned out that he'd taken the fork just below where Rennie Bowen lives. Instead of coming down the south side of Highway 90, which didn't exist then, he went up on the other side of it, got to about the spring back behind Spurgeon's place, stopped for lunch, and his horse started drinking some cool water. And God told him in 1874, start a camp meeting here. So he went to the Whitson family, the descendants of the Morgans. He said, God told me this. And they said, this is some great land right here that we can't farm because it's got a lot of rocks in it. We'd like the Lord to let you have it. But if you don't have a camp meeting for 3 years, we're going to take it back, which has caused all kinds of fun over the years. Needless to say, there was a lady named Lynn Cook who is a descendant of said gentleman. And she is Dr. Lynn Cook, actually, she taught ag education at Tipp County High School, and she has her doctorate in ag education from Auburn. And she put it all together and did a wonderful presentation that put it on the National Register or the Georgia Registry. Then it got approved by the National Registry. And so it's just in time because it's the 150th year and it's an historic district, the entire campground is. What that means is that it's recognized and it's preserved, but some of the buildings that have had modifications to them are of historic significance, but are not in their historic condition, whatever that means. But in any event, she did a lot of good work on it. Beth English pushed it. Janet Joyner started it. They deserve the credit. I only supplied information because even though I majored in history, I'm more concerned about running the place in the future and could care less about the past, other than we're going to get a big, nice sign, which brings me to the last thing. We would like to invite everyone at the county commission level and county that's in this room, anyone and everyone. We will be celebrating 150 years of encampment on Sunday, September the 15th. And we would like to have everyone there that can come and recognize it, and there'll be more formal information about that at that point, at which time we're going to unveil, hopefully, one of these roadway signs, which we've got to purchase to commemorate that. And it will be probably about third or fourth place in Dooley County that's on the National Register. And it will bring some attention to a part of this community that has been here for 150 years, that is part of the social fabric that we've all enjoyed. Many people have been out there to camp. Many people have been out there to swim. Many people have been out there for other purposes, which we shall not elicit in this meeting.
I'm not gonna give Bert the credit. If you hadn't ridden out there in a long time, ride through out there, it looks better than it has since I was a kid. I mean, it's really cleaned up and nice.
Well, are they giving away refrigerators and stoves like they did when I was a little boy? They used to have a camp meeting out there and
That was with
all Dooley
EMC.
County was there.
That was EMC.
Yeah, well, I don't know where it was, but it was in that location.
Right.
Well, then there used to be a cotton day
Yeah.
held out there where you get door prizes also. I
Yeah,
remember
man.
that.
My mama used to, man, she got tired of that scrub bowl. She wanted to get up when her refrigerator, I mean, stove,
Well, they
washing machine.
EMC kind of quit coming out there, and they kind of, with the pandemic and everything else,
COVID broke
right,
out.
they kind of moved that in. But I remember the first cotton days that they had out there, and that was in the 70s maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of different things that have gone on out there, but apparently back in the 50s and 60s, they had some pretty fiery political rallies there as well. Politicians came through and all that other stuff, you know. So I don't know. It's an interesting place. It has a lot of history and some other people who, and when you document this stuff, there's like 150 something pictures of different things from over time, and it's rather fascinating. And Lynn Cook and her family have a lot of those pictures, and they come every year for a week and camp out just like they used to in this big room, and the beds in there are end to end, women on one side, men on the other side, and they bring, you know, they go to the farmer's market, they've got tomatoes lined up, they've got, you know, on the windowsills, they've got big old patch of watermelons out there. And if you go out there around mealtime and they see you, they invite you to come sit at the table with them, no matter who you are, and they feed you. And I'll just say this, they are healthy people.
Okay, moving right along.
Fat.
We'll skip 16, we'll come back, then I'll ask Rodney up in just a second, talk about 16. Number 17, just a sort of an update on the opioid settlement funds. When I sent this out, we currently had $23,000 in the opioid settlement checking account. That's gonna change here in the next day or two. I'll refer that in just a minute. But we're getting payments through the big class action lawsuit from several different areas. And let me just go. There's the ones I got highlighted. We've received a notice we're going to be getting this check. We have not gotten these checks yet. And we're getting a $1,300 check from the Allergen. That'll be the first payment we've gotten from that source. We'll be getting $1,214 from CVS, and this is first of multiple payments I'm assuming we'll be getting. I don't know all of that. They don't share a whole lot of details with me. The distributor payment we've gotten, well, once we get this $1,900 check, we'll have gotten $12,000 from them. Janssen, we've gotten $16,000 from them. We're getting $1,100 from Teva. 2 payments coming in supposedly from Walgreens totaling $3,100. And supposedly a payment from Walmart coming in $12,152. So once all those payments come in, we will have $47,000 in the opioid checking account. Now, there's restricted on what you can use this money for. It must be used for opioid remediation. And for the most part, now as I understand it, each different program may have a little bit of twist on their requirements, but generally, what I understand, generally accepted, opioid remediation is defined as care, treatment, and other programs and expenditures designed to address the misuse and abuse of opioid products, not all drugs, just opioid products, treat or mitigate opioid use or related disorders, and to mitigate other alleged effects of the opioid epidemic. And then from what I can find out, generally accepted opioid remediation does not include funds used to pay attorney fees, investigation costs, litigation costs, or costs related to the operation and enforcement of settlement agreements.
Somebody didn't read the fine print before they signed off on that.
They done got this.
What did it cost us to,
Okay, you took my question. Yeah.
what did it cost us to litigate this for the county?
County, none, well, we joined the class action suit.
We had 2 different firms that came to us, one out of Macon, one out of Perry, that had linked up with other ones in Athens, Atlanta, that had linked up with other ones in the nation, and all this, that, and the other. And we didn't put out any cash or money, and it was a contingency fee. So what the cost of it is you could obtain that to find out what the costs or the litigation were that they paid those attorneys and or the fees, but it didn't cost us anything out of our budget, if that's the answer. So the big issue I see is what can you use it on? And the biggest thing I see that would be, we're talking about pills, we're talking about pain pills. And so people dealing with pill addiction. And, you know, I would suggest working with the Superior Court in their drug program, which would be one place. Other, because that would be care and treatment, and other programs, but they need to be specific to opioids. And, you know, those people, we've got a recovery center that's going to be starting here in Vienna.
Can it be used for private? I mean, can it?
It can be
Would you
used
wanna
to
Like
fund
churches or something.
well, it's got to be used to fund
It's
a
gotta be
program.
used for opioid program.
Mhm.
And that was the thing, that regional meeting we went to in Harris County and voted for the state. There's two boards of this 91 million is gonna be divided out, I think, into 6 regions in the state. And we went and voted for a state board.
They call that the Georgia Opioid Settlement Advisory Commission.
We voted for them, and then we voted for our region's advisory council. And those two groups get together, like, there's no rules yet. That's the negative of this, but they're fixing to open up applications middle of April for people and groups to start asking for this money. And I racked my brain of how the sheriff's department could benefit from it, or Peniel, or wherever, because it is very specific. Like one guy, he got up talking about crack addiction. It's like, this money can't touch any of that. But those two groups will take these applications and make a recommendation to it's a state employee. He's the head of one of those divisions.
And that's on the state level. And what you're saying, what I hear you saying is once they promulgate the rules and come up with some rules, that would be some excellent guidance for us as to what we could use it for, because that will have been tested statewide. And then we can say, wait a minute, they've got some good criteria that flesh out these 1, 2, 3s a little bit better than what they're there now. And if we go within what the state's doing, there's a less chance we're going to get called on the carpet for violating that by giving it to someone who doesn't deserve it.
Well, from what I read yesterday, it's just what you said. This ain't gonna be no big cash cow for Dooley County.
No, and even
That 26 or 28,000 we got, we can figure max 3 times that in the next, it's a 10-year deal.
Right.
And the figures I got, they had it listed every payment. I mean, it was, I hate that I deleted that. I'm gonna try to get it back. But they had every payment for every county, from, Fulton getting their millions up there to us getting ours. It was amazing to me, because I don't know what the criteria is. Probably if you have a medical, emergency center, emergency room, you're gonna get more funding. Because does Macon County still have why would they get $10,000 more in Dooley County?
it was based off opioid deaths,
In the county?
abuses reported,
Mhm.
sales.
I'm just
Because
wondering
that's like these
how they compile
these
all these
applications,
numbers.
that they're gonna receive, they're gonna look at those numbers and determine that. But then I was sitting in the room and trying to figure out how some counties had more representation than others. Because when this opioid thing went out, like, Billy Hank, or the sheriff's department, Chris County, they signed on separately. Chris didn't. there were hospitals that signed on independently, and everybody that signed on to the thing had representation, like every county got automatically thrown in.
Mhm.
But if additional, Chris Regional might have been there.
I think that's to your point, is that they have a trauma center, and the question is, why is it 10,000? We both have prisons, we both have equal population roughly. I don't know, I think that if you recall, we had to come up and document what our abuses were, and that was kind of hard to do.
Well, it would appear to me you certainly could purchase, for your Narcan, because you can't go through the remediation if they're dead.
Right.
So you got to save the life before you can go to the next step. Well, how far reaching is that? How did EMS get to them? They got a call. That's communications. So without communications, they don't get the call to go get the people to even start their remedy. So it might get interesting, because everybody needs help.
But the fun
911 centers always asking for more money.
The fun fact on that though is, it looks like about the only thing you can do is buy Narcan right now. Guess who manufactures Narcan? The people who get the money from. I'm just gonna point it out.
The one restriction out on this money now is, like I was thinking of Pena. It can't be used for salaries or administration costs or anything. So it pretty much has to be a group that is already in operation.
In place.
So I can't quit my job, go start a group and pay myself.
Yeah, they're not gonna pop up everywhere because of this.
That's the only main restriction they talked about. So it has to be a group that's already doing some kind of a program, or I was just trying to think creatively of how the county and how you figure out the opioid piece. Drug is, you can do drug, that's easy, but narrowing it down to that is a little more tricky.
Well, the truth is people go from opioids to heroin and so, it's a progression, because that's based off of the same thing. So, you've got sort of progression within the drug community as long as it's based off the same thing. But we're thinking pills, but we need a little bit more information on what all we can address. But it's a very like you say, it's a very limited scope the way they've got it. But let's see if we can get some more language from the state with more criteria, that might give us more guidance on where we can go to help the community with these funds.
And I hope after mid-April, we can see some of the applications that are being submitted to give ideas of, like, again, I try to think of how you get the sheriff's department, because sometimes they're responding to this stuff. EMS is responding to it. So after the application process opens, I hope we're able to see what type of money people are asking for, and see if it falls in. The good thing is for us, I mentioned it on the Regional Advisory Council, we've got Sheriff Hancock is on that council, and then the lady from the Flint Behavioral, what's her name,
The president that was here.
Yeah, that came and spoke to us. She's on that regional council, and a professor of nursing over at Georgia Southwestern is on that. So out of our big land mass district, 3 out of the 7 on that council are from this area. So,
well, it could be, going along the lines of Commissioner Kaysen, it could be that training, which would include your sheriff's deputies, your first responders, and all that, even firemen, a portion of your training, if the training subject matter covers this, that would be to address the misuse and abuse of opioids. you could cover some of the training on that. It also could be some of the education within the schools through school resource officers, not employees, but the program materials and whatever those programs are. And I think that's where you get at it. And
They still do.
I think a high percentage where we live,
They still do.
in these small
Chris County
communities,
do.
the high percentage of folks
In
you're gonna
Chris
be
County
dealing
do.
with, you know, to try to get them in treatment.
They
They
just
go
had a
through
graduation
your
not too
jail
long
system.
I don't know about it.
Does
Because
Dillon
they've
County
done-
still do the
Sometimes
DARE program?
they have to do something wrong just to get the attention that they
They
need.
have a program, but it's not the DARE program, from what I understand.
It's a different.
It's a different program, but it's something similar to it, but it's not
It's a
the
school.
official.
We had a sheriff's deputy do it when I was living.
we had Deputy Dog for Garden
I'm
County.
just thinking that might be a
That was
the
the
school
joke.
board or the.
This Thursday got worse every time he came.
Well, I was thinking about a new ambulance that had say no to opioids. On each side.
All right, moving right along. And,
Tough bill.
number 19, there was a House Bill 461 that passed the most recent General Assembly. That's gonna have some, it appears, we're still trying to get the fully understanding of it, but that appears that may have an impact on our building permit fees. They've changed the way you can calculate though, or way they've eliminated, it appears to me they've eliminated you using the value of the project as a factor for the permit cost. Anyway, this just got passed. It hasn't been signed by the governor yet, but it's expected to be signed by the governor anyway. You know, all counties are reviewing it, so you know that we may have to modify our fee schedule for our permits coming up.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
I'm just kidding. What you gonna go by?
Well, like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of time to look at it, but it appears to me, Mr. David, and I'll get y'all a copy of this, but like I said, this just came to my attention. First, they're saying if the project is classified as new construction or extensive renovation, then that you eliminate the value of the project as one of the factors. They basically want you to come up with a flat fee for those projects on a square foot. Just so much per square foot. But, you know, we got folks building $200,000 houses and folks building $1 million houses.
And they're saying, and then I don't know, I can see a two-way street in that, but you know.
And then for anything that doesn't fall into those categories, is on like AC, HVAC, or plumbing, a flat fee for the different categories. I don't know.
Amen.
I totally
AC
agree.
needs to be one versus
I
electrical, HVAC,
see,
and plumbing.
but it's probably going to have a significant impact on our fees. Therefore, impact on our revenues. So anyway, that's coming.
On the house stuff, did they sign the homestead? I read in the paper, the homes where values on homes cannot increase, on homesteads can't increase more than 3%.
I haven't seen the latest on. And see, I got real questions about how's that going to apply.
It wasn't residential property, it specifically said homesteads. So they're sort of putting it like in the Cooper program where from 1 year to the next, your value, they can rate your value at whatever, but you won't be taxed more than it won't be more than a 3% increase.
Yeah, I don't know all the details of that yet. I haven't seen the final.
Our senator put it in the paper, and I didn't know if it had been signed or not.
I know one we was hoping that was gonna pass, didn't pass, and that was EMS. Them getting that first 10 miles, you know, Don shared that with us, that they get paid nothing for mileage, first 10 miles. That's on us, the taxpayers, and when you don't have a hospital in the county, you know, it's pretty tough on you when you don't get. So if you pick somebody up right in this general area right here and transport them to Cordell down there, you know, you're limited, you know, with your charges, because you can't charge mileage. What are you charging?
Pick up.
Pick up, prop up, wrap up,
You got to come back home when you pick them up.
you know, so, you know, it looks to me like that. I was just hoping that would fly through there, but I'm missing something, but I guess it's big, it's big ambulance services.
It's contractors.
Contractors,
With lobbyists.
but they should do something based on population to help these rural areas.
And number 20, I don't think I put it with y'all's package, but I'll send y'all a copy of the list of the permits issued in last month in March. I meant to have that printed out and I didn't get it printed out. And then for new motor graders, early this year, the board voted to purchase 2 new motor graders from Perry Brothers Equipment. The new machines, I think, may actually have been delivered to Perry Brothers and will be ready for delivery to us soon. So we got to come up with a way of paying for them. The 2 machines we bought were both Saney. That's the model, and they're both all-wheel drive motor graders. The purchase price was for each one was $278,000. Started at $278,000, but it gives us an $18,000 rebate. So basically, the purchase price was $260,000. Then we're going to trade in 2. We're trading in a John Deere 770, which is just a rear wheel drive machine. And we're trading in a 772 John Deere, which is an all-wheel drive machine. And they're giving us $70,000 for the rear wheel drive, and they're allowing us $90,000 for the all-wheel drive. So we got to finance, either we got to write them a check for $359,000 or finance it. And since we didn't budget the entire purchase, I got a proposal from financing it from it's the firm that we have used to finance most of our heavy equipment purchases, and I can't remember what their old name was. Now they're a division of Cadence Bank. They're called Cadence Equipment Finance, and they're going to finance them. I asked for a proposal for 48 monthly payments, and what did I do with that? I thought I had it right here. Equipment. Service. Proposed motor grader.
We used to have that buyback program, but I'm just.
Yeah, we got away from that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, where's
Well,
it?
It's hard to get back to it when you get away from it.
Yeah. Where is that information?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, if we finance it for 5 years, 60 months, it'd be at 5.78%. You're looking at, for the both machines, it'd be $10,000 a month payment.
What was the warranty on these?
It's a 5-year. What's the warranty on these? What, a 5-year warranty? That's a standard warranty on those machines.
One said they went 6, but don't hold me to that.
I know it has at least a 5-year warranty. That's why I was gonna finance it for 5 years.
But that about what time to tell anyway.
And that, we need to get back on our regular, rotating them out. The reason we got stuck with these so long, COVID hit and supply issues, so.
So 519 is the total payout? Oh, no. What's the?
No, yours gonna only,
It's gonna cost us 80,000 in interest
In interest.
over 5 years. Plus,
But see, all right, but
but
we're
that
only gonna,
buyback hadn't been put together.
Yeah, I-
359 is all they're gonna finance.
we're gonna find, that's all we're gonna find, because they're gonna let us,
You're gonna trade in.
yeah, he was financing the whole.
I done got
But that was
confused.
170, but one was 80, one was 90.
One was 80 and one was 90. I mean, no, one was 70 and one was 90. One was,
Was that trade in? Right?
We gotta pay off what we've got, don't we?
well, they're gonna let us keep it, because it's financed at 2 points, a little less than 3%.
What is,
The machines we're financing.
well, the ones we're trading in, they're not paid off.
Right. But I thought he was fine. I think I got a proposal for him for financing the 359, and I thought I had all that wrote down.
Does this have to have action?
I would like to have, yes, because, yeah, I'd like to get that approved. I'm trying to think, where did I get that from? Where did I get that from? Caden, what's that guy's name? What is his name? Jonathan King. Yep, that's what I'm trying to look at. All right, come back here.
They're saying the payoff on our current machine is somewhere in the neighborhood of 71,000
Each.
each.
So it is, we are financing that 5.
If you
Got them
$20,000
$27,000.
there and all that together.
Mhm.
Jonathan King.
Mr. Mixon translated, we're going, like, we're upside down.
Yeah, I knew.
No.
Yeah, he's financing just the 300. He's gonna finance the 359
Yeah, what percent?
at 5.78.
Does that include the 142,000 that we're having to roll over?
We're gonna keep
Those machines.
he's gonna let us keep the loan that we're still be making payments on them
At the lower rate.
at the lower interest
Okay.
rate.
So that financing's with them also.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
now
why.
I see.
That's why I got to finance.
Yeah.
That's why I first asked him to finance, refinance everything. He said, "Well, if you do that, you're gonna lose the low interest rate on the little bit of loan we got." So that's what I was looking for. It's gonna be 48 payments or 60 payments. If you do the 48 payments, it's gonna be $8,400. If you do the 60 payments, it'll be almost $7,000.
What's our current payments on those other two? I mean, we fix we'll be paying for,
Two you don't got.
That you don't have no more.
yeah, I mean, how much longer we gotta pay for those?
I think a year. But do you want to refinance? I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest about it.
Well, let's get it straightened out and and not try to do it right this
Well,
minute.
no, but I need some help getting it straightened out. Who's gonna help me?
Well,
I'll help. I just need,
if it was mine, I know how I would approach it. I got a fund of money over here that I'm sitting here that somebody gave me. I'd take at least enough of that money
To pay off the old
to
note?
pay off the old ones, but leave that note intact to take advantage, put it down on these new machines.
Yeah, okay. I hear what you're saying. What you're
No,
saying
no.
is, we're not really gonna pay off the old ones because it's old debt, because it's 4% cheaper.
That's
But,
right.
so we're gonna put the money we would have paid, if we owe $200,000 on the old machines,
We owe $140,000.
he's saying take 140, pay it down on the new stuff, so that it shifts the percentage, and you
It
save.
makes this payment that
4%.
much lower.
Right.
that's right. Then it is still 2 payments, but we're not
You're taking
We're not
advantage.
adding anything to the budget.
Yeah, you're not
We
digging
pay
the
it
hole
to-
any deeper.
Take the money out of your savings account to pay that on the new car, and then keep paying on the old car, even though you turned it in,
That's right.
because it's 4% cheaper.
That's right.
You got that, Steve?
All right, so we're gonna, instead of financing 359,000, we're gonna finance,
You drop that
Take
by the
140.
payoff on the other two machines.
Take 140 out.
so we're gonna finance $219,848.
Right.
Okay, all
Which
right.
saves you the 4% on the other, plus whatever percent. Yeah,
So 359,848.20
that's,
minus 140,000.
And that's key.
219,848.20. No, we want to do it for 4 years or 5 years.
Whatever you're comfortable with. Well, them machines last 5 years, we think.
We don't know. Well,
That's
we
where
tell you in
140
5 years.
gonna come
what are
from.
the old ones last?
Where the 140 gonna come from?
We'll turn them in
There's
every
the
year.
rescue.
That's rescue fund.
You brought it up.
Rescue fund.
I would
guess that's the
suggest,
reason why I brought it up then, huh?
I would suggest finance it for 4 years.
4 years and let's get back on.
If we can afford, I mean, as long as we can swing that payment, yeah, that'll save us a year of interest.
So, all right, so is everybody understand we're gonna finance $219,000 of for the new machines? Use $140,000 from the American Rescue Plan to finish the purchase of the new machines. Okay. Is that,
Yeah, I get
So
it.
Well, let's
And that should bring down the payment too.
yeah,
So the motion that you're entertaining, or the chair should entertain, is to take $142,000 thereabouts,
$140, we're just gonna say $140.
$140,000 from the
American
From the
Rescue Plan
ARPA.
Act.
funds. So let's vote to pay down all the new equipment.
Wait, let me ask, so for a year, which is gonna be in this coming budget, you said we've got a year left on the old machines. So whatever that payment is, even though we're using a bulk of money to pay down on the new machines, for a year, we're gonna have a much larger payment each month. And that comes from
That come out of either
LMIG.
Road Splost or T-Splost.
I'm just, for a year, it'll be big, and
Then it'll get back
it'll get back.
significantly lower.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, what are you doing? You're letting somebody else pay for your machines,
Right.
regardless of what the interest rate is, what the
And-
down payment is,
and
what
you-
the monthly payment is.
and
Somebody
you-
else is paying for your machines.
And you're cutting the interest on the $140,000 by 3%.
That's right.
You're cutting the interest in half.
I'm just, in budget time, remember, we're gonna have 2 big payments
Should be payment.
for however much longer is left on the thing, and then it'll be a huge savings.
But we gotta do that to get back on track, like we used to do with the buybacks.
Yeah, I hadn't been a part of that track.
That was
We've been off that track for quite a while.
There's
Yeah.
always a new program, there's always a new game, but guess what? You still have dirt roads and you still have equipment.
Well, and these warranties, they'll help you get there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Because-
significantly longer.
Yeah,
than-
because we've had to put in, on the old machines that the warranty had expired on, we had to eat the cost of a new engine on one and a new transmission on one. They are not cheap.
We got bid, so
So-
we know how that works.
So how do we need to put the motion again now?
We're gonna use $140,000 of ARPA money to apply toward the purchase of the new machines.
Mhm.
Finance the remaining balance on the purchase of the 2 new machines for 4 years at the 5.78% interest through Cadence Equipment Finance.
I'll make that much.
That's a nice one.
I said,
Second. Okay, having a motion in a second. Do we have any more discussions on it, fellas? Everybody got it down? Do we have any?
No.
No, okay, we're gonna hold off. for a minute.
All right, y'all, okay, you're gonna use 140,000 APR, okay, American Rescue. And the 219,848.20, gonna finance it for 4 years.
For 4 years with Cadence Equipment Finance.
Okay, let's see,
5.78% APR.
at 5.8%,
5.78%.
5.78%.
Prior to the increase. What's that? Go down to number 8.
As long as prime don't increase above 8.5 before we sign the deal.
Okay, this isn't a floating.
No,
That's-
no, it's
it
fixed.
should go down, so,
Exactly.
yeah.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have clarification of that motion.
Back on me again. All in favor by the show of hands? That's 140,000 gone.
All right, thank you. All right. Bert has other obligations, so he's gonna excuse himself.
For y'all's road discussion.
The rest of the meeting is gonna be basically having a little work session talking about roads, so. Rodney, if you and Lance will come on up, Tim, you're welcome to stay. I do not expect any action taken. If they will, I will let you know. Daryl, you're welcome to stay also, but you may have something else you need to be doing, so.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Good, how are y'all?
We're gonna keep the